Ladies and gentlemen, what if I told you you're not lost, not failing, not behind, just closer than you've ever been, closer to the breakthrough, the moment, the success you've been working for, but didn't know was already reaching back toward you? My friends, there is a battle raging, not in the streets, not in the boardrooms, not even on the news. The greatest battle is happening within the hearts of men and women. It is the silent war fought behind smiles, beneath success and under the cloak of routine. It is the fight against fear, guilt, addiction, pride, and despair. These are the demons we face. And you are not alone in this fight. We were not created to be victims of our past nor prisoners of our pain. You are made with a purpose for a reason far greater than yourself. But you will never walk in the fullness of that purpose until you face the giants within. Strength and resilience are not born in comfort. They are forged in adversity. And I tell you now, no matter how deep the pit, there is a rope. No matter how dark the night, there is a light. There is a power greater than all your problems. But you must decide. You must choose to stand. Choose to rise. Choose to believe that you are not beyond redemption, not beyond restoration, and never beyond hope. Your demons may whisper lies, but the truth still speaks louder. And the truth is, you are loved. You are valuable, and you are made to overcome. Not by your strength alone, but by a strength that cannot be shaken. That strength is available to every soul willing to surrender the weight of their burden. So today, take a stand, not just against the world outside, but against the war inside. Lay down your shame, let go of the chains, and walk boldly toward the life you were meant to live. You are not born to be broken. You are born to be free. The greatest battles are not the ones we see on the news. They're not fought on battlefields with tanks and weapons, nor in courts and legislatures with words and laws. The fiercest war is the one that takes place inside the human soul. It's the quiet war, unseen, unheard, but deeply felt. A war where the enemy isn't always visible because sometimes the enemy has your voice. It's a war of thoughts, emotions, and deep-rooted wounds. And that's why it's so dangerous. Because while others see a smile on your face, only you know the storm behind your eyes. These inner battles do not care about your wealth, your education, your background, or your appearance. They come for the weak and the strong alike. Fear doesn't discriminate. Anxiety doesn't check your resume. Depression doesn't ask what car you drive, whether you sleep in a mansion or a shelter. The weight of emotional and spiritual warfare can be equally crushing. The greatest enemy of peace is not always what surrounds us, but what's within us. Those whispered doubts, the memories we've buried, the guilt we carry, the habits we hide. Every person carries a story that others cannot see. We walk past people every day who are dressed well, polished, and put together, yet they are barely holding themselves together on the inside. You see, you don't need chains on your wrist to be a prisoner. Some people are imprisoned in their mind, trapped by regret, bound by unforgiveness, shackled by their own thoughts. They are at war with themselves, and the battlefield is their own heart. The enemy knows this. He doesn't always need to strike with violence. Sometimes all he needs is a whisper. You're not enough. You'll never change. No one really loves you. And if you believe that whisper long enough, it becomes your truth. The real tragedy is not that the voice speaks, but that we listen. And when we listen, we feed it. And when we feed it, it grows. Before long, that whisper becomes a stronghold, a fortress of lies that begins to govern our choices and shape our identity. But that voice didn't create you. It didn't design your life. It didn't breathe purpose into your lungs. So why let it define who you are? The real battle is not about silencing the world. It's about silencing the voice of fear within. The voice of shame that keeps replaying your failures. The voice of condemnation that tells you you're too far gone. And make no mistake, those voices are persistent. They won't stop just because you wish they would. You have to fight them. You have to confront them, not with more noise but with truth. You see, many people try to win external battles without first addressing the war within. They change jobs, change cities, change relationships, hoping that a new environment will quiet the old voices. But peace doesn't come from escape. Peace comes from surrender. Not surrender to fear, but surrender to a higher truth. A truth that says you were made for more, that you are not your worst moment, that you are not the sum of your secrets, that even in the depths of your struggle there is still hope for victory. Every addiction, every outburst, every destructive pattern, it all begins in the heart. You don't just stumble into darkness, you are pulled there by unresolved battles that were never brought into the light. And unless we face those battles head on, we will keep repeating the same cycles. We'll keep running but never arrive. We'll keep climbing but never feel fulfilled. Because the issue isn't just out there, it's in here. And until we deal with the war within, the world around us will never feel right. So we must be honest. Honest about what we're fighting. Honest about what keeps us up at night. Honest about the weight we carry in silence. Because what we don't confront, we cannot conquer, and what we hide, we empower. It is only when we bring our internal battles into the light that we can begin to see change. This is not weakness, it is courage, because the greatest strength is not in pretending to be okay. It is in standing up, facing your demons, and saying, "You will not have the final word in my life." Loneliness is one of the most painful lies the enemy uses to isolate a soul in distress. When you're walking through the fire, it can feel like no one else understands your pain. It feels like the world keeps spinning while you're stuck in a storm. But I want you to hear this truth today, not just with your ears but with your heart. You are not alone. You are not the only one who has cried yourself to sleep. You are not the only one who has asked, "Why me?" You are not the only one who has battled thoughts you didn't dare speak aloud. There is something the enemy loves about isolation, because when you believe you're alone, you begin to believe you're defective. You begin to think that no one else struggles the way you do, that no one else has those thoughts, that no one else carries the kind of guilt, shame, or anxiety that you do. But the truth is, behind every strong face is a story. Behind every handshake at church, every smile in the office, every scroll on social media, there is a silent battle someone is fighting. They may not speak of it, but it is there. You are part of a long sacred lineage of people who have wrestled in the dark. Some of the strongest men and women in history have fallen to their knees in despair. Great prophets once begged for their life to end. Mighty kings wept in caves. Even those chosen for great missions had moments of great fear, great doubt, great sorrow. So if you're feeling low, if you're feeling worn, you're not broken beyond repair. You're human. You are walking a road many have walked before you. You are not strange. You are not forsaken. But you see, the power of community isn't just in having people around you, it's knowing that someone has been where you are. When you realize someone else has felt what you feel, fought what you fight, and still found a way through, hope begins to rise. You may not know their name. They may live in a different city, speak a different language, but they have walked through nights just as long, and many of them are still standing today, not because they were stronger, but because they reached out, because they didn't believe the lie that they had to suffer in silence. Too often, pride keeps us from reaching for help. We fear judgment. We fear rejection. We think if they really knew me, they wouldn't love me. But the truth is, authentic connection begins where pretending ends. People don't need to see your perfection, they need to see your perseverance. They need to see that yes, you've been through it, but you're still breathing, still believing, still moving. Your struggle isn't something to hide, it may be the very bridge someone else needs to cross their own river of pain. And let me say this, God never created you to carry your burden alone. From the very beginning, we were made for fellowship. We were made for connection. Even the strongest need a shoulder. Even the wise need a word. Even the faithful need to be reminded of the promise. That's why we must lean on one another. We must speak life into each other. Because in this world it's easy to forget that we belong to one another, that no one was meant to walk through the valley without a hand to hold. Yes, you may feel misunderstood. Yes, you may be going through something that's hard to put into words, but somewhere someone is waiting to hear your story. Somewhere someone is praying for the strength to face their day. And your testimony may be the very answer they need. Don't underestimate the power of sharing your scars. They are not signs of weakness. They are signs that you survived. And survival is a language others understand. Sometimes the greatest comfort is not in advice but in simply hearing me too. So don't give in to the lie that says you're alone. Don't retreat into the silence of look around, reach out, speak up. Because while your struggle may feel unique, it is not uncommon. And the moment you step into the light and realize that others have walked this road, something shifts. The weight begins to lift. The tears begin to make sense. And in that moment, healing begins. Not just for you, but for those who walk with you. Before you ever took your first breath, before your name was whispered for the first time, you were known. You were not a mistake. You were not an accident. You were not a product of random chance. You were created intentionally, wonderfully, with care, with love, and with divine design. This world may try to tell you that you are one of billions, just another number in the crowd, but heaven sees you as one in a billion, handcrafted with purpose and value beyond measure. You are not here just to survive. You are not here merely to wake up, go to work, pay bills and pass the time until it's all over. No, there is something placed inside you that no one else carries. A voice, a gift, a calling, something eternal wrapped in your very being. And though the world may have tried to bury it through pain, through labels, through rejection, that seed of purpose still lives inside you. It may be buried, but it is not dead. It is waiting, waiting for you to believe again. There is a reason why the enemy fights you so hard. It's not because you're weak. It's because you're powerful. He doesn't attack those without purpose. He targets those with potential. The greater your calling, the fiercer the battle. That's why from the very beginning, life may have tried to beat you down. You've faced things you didn't deserve. You've walked through valleys you didn't ask for. But through it all, something inside of you kept going. That something is not just strength, it's destiny. And I want you to know this. You are not defined by your past. Your mistakes may explain your journey, but they do not determine your worth. You may have fallen, but your fall does not disqualify your future. The fingerprints of your Creator are still on you. The value of a thing is not determined by its damage but by its origin. And you were born from greatness. You were spoken into existence by power. That means your worth is fixed, eternal and unshakable. Many people go through life feeling like they don't matter, like their absence wouldn't even be noticed. But I tell you today, your presence in this world has weight. Your life is significant. There are people connected to your obedience, lives that will be touched by your courage, generations that will be changed because you chose to rise. You may never have heard it said before, but let me say it to you now. You matter, not because of what you do, but because of who you are and whose. The world will try to define you by status, by beauty, by performance, by possessions, but heaven doesn't use those metrics. You are valuable not because of what you own, but because of who owns you. Not because of how high you've climbed, but because of how deeply you are loved. And when you begin to see yourself through that lens, through the eyes of your Creator, not your critics, everything changes. Your walk becomes confident, your voice becomes bold, because now you know you are here on purpose. This purpose may not always be loud or glamorous. It may not come with applause or recognition, but make no mistake, it is just as holy. Raising a child is purpose. Serving someone in pain is purpose. Standing in integrity when no one's watching is purpose. You don't have to be on a stage to fulfill your calling. Sometimes the most powerful purposes are carried out in silence, in sacrifice, in faithfulness behind the scenes. Heaven sees it all. Heaven honors it all. So today, if you've doubted your worth, if you've questioned your reason for being here, let this be your reminder: you were created with intention. You are not random. You are not invisible. You are not forgotten. You carry within you the fingerprints of purpose, and no pain, no person, no failure can erase that truth. Your story still matters. Your future is still unfolding. And your life, yes, your life has eternal value. We live in a world that celebrates ease and comfort. We are taught to avoid pain, to escape hardship, to find shortcuts wherever possible. But the truth remains as timeless as the rising sun. True strength is not built in comfort. It is forged in adversity. It is in the fire that gold is refined. It is in the storm that roots grow deep. And it is through trials that your resilience is born. No one becomes strong by avoiding struggle. They become strong by walking through it and coming out the other side with scars that tell a story of survival. Adversity is the training ground for great. Think of every mighty oak. It started as a seed buried in the dark. It had to push through dirt, endure seasons, survive storms, and withstand pressure before it ever stood tall. And so it is with you. What you're going through right now isn't just pain. It's preparation. The resistance you feel is not punishment. It's purpose in disguise. Because every tear you've cried, every sleepless night, every heartbreak you've endured, it's all working together to build something stronger in you than what was ever there before. We often pray for strength, but we forget how strength is developed. Muscles don't grow without resistance. Faith doesn't deepen without testing. Endurance doesn't come from comfort. It comes from pushing through when everything in you wants to give up. And sometimes the very thing you thought would break you becomes the thing that builds you. The trial you thought would destroy you becomes the very testimony that strengthens someone else. God doesn't waste pain. Every part of the process has purpose. You see, resilience isn't about never falling. It's about rising after the fall. It's about choosing to get back up when life has knocked the wind out of you. The strongest people you know aren't the ones who've had an easy life. They're the ones who've walked through fire and still kept their faith. They're the ones who faced loss, disappointment, betrayal, and broken dreams, but they didn't let bitterness win. They didn't let despair have the final word. That's real strength, not the absence of struggle, but the refusal to surrender in the face of it. When adversity comes, it reveals what's already in you. It doesn't create character. It exposes it, sharpens it, deepens. And in those moments when you feel like you have nothing left, that's when something greater can begin to rise. Because when your own strength runs out, you discover the strength that comes from above. That divine strength, quiet, unshakable, enduring. It meets you in the valley and carries you when your legs can't move anymore. And that's when you learn you're stronger than you ever thought, because you're not standing alone. Don't despise the season you're in just because it hurts. Some of your greatest growth will happen in the most painful chapters. You may not see it now, but in the struggle, your spirit is being stretched. Your patience is being refined. Your purpose is being revealed. You're learning to depend on something greater than your own understanding. You're learning that even when the path is unclear, the one who walks with you is steady. And that kind of faith, that kind of endurance only comes through fire. You are not fragile. You were not made to shatter. There is a strength in you that the enemy underestimates. There is a power in you that adversity is unlocking. What was meant to break you is becoming the very thing that builds your foundation. Don't let the pain fool you. It's proof that something is being born. Every trial is carving out a deeper well of wisdom, compassion, and faith within you. You may be bruised, but you're not broken. You may be tired, but you are not finished. So when the wind howls and the waves rise, don't curse the storm. Learn to see it for what it is: a sacred opportunity, a proving ground, a divine invitation to grow beyond who you were yesterday.
because one day you'll look back and realize that the very fire that once threatened to consume you is the same fire that refined you, strengthened you, and prepared you for the calling on your life.
There will come a time when the winds of life begin to howl without warning. The storm clouds will gather, the waves will rise, and everything you once counted on will start to shift. The people you leaned on may grow silent. The plans you trusted may fall apart. The strength you once took pride in may feel like it's slipping through your fingers. And in those moments, when the world turns dark and your footing grows uncertain, you need more than motivation. You need more than emotion. You need an anchor. Faith is that anchor, not the kind that keeps you from ever experiencing a storm, but the kind that keeps you from being destroyed by it. Faith doesn't promise the absence of hardship, but it guarantees the presence of something greater than hardship. It's not denial of the pain, but a declaration that even in the pain there is purpose. Even in the chaos there is a calm underneath it all. A foundation that does not crack when everything else is shaking. The world will offer you substitutes, temporary anchors that promise peace but deliver pressure. Money can't calm the storm. Popularity can't hold you steady. Achievements will not keep your soul from drifting when the winds get wild. But faith, real faith, is not shaken by circumstance. It holds fast when logic fails. It speaks when feelings fall silent. It steadies you when fear threatens to drown you. Faith is what whispers you are not alone, even when no one else is speaking. And don't misunderstand, faith is not always loud. Sometimes it's a quiet trust, single step forward when you don't know the outcome. A decision to keep believing when there's no evidence yet. It's holding on not because you see the light at the end of the tunnel, but because you trust the one who holds the tunnel in his hands. That kind of faith cannot be bought. It's forged in the waiting, strengthened in the silence, proven in the fire. You see, the storm doesn't come to destroy your faith, it comes to reveal it. It shows you where your hope really rests. It reveals whether your confidence is built on sand or on rock. And when you find that your faith holds steady, even when everything around you falls apart, you begin to see the power of what's been growing inside you all along. The storm becomes the stage for your faith to speak louder than your fear. And here's the miracle of faith. Not only does it keep you steady, it becomes a lighthouse for others. When people see you stand firm in the middle of chaos, when they watch you endure without bitterness, when they hear peace in your voice even when your world is breaking, that testimony begins to shine. You become evidence that faith works, that peace is possible, that storms don't have the final word. Your life becomes the sermon that someone else has been desperate to hear. Faith isn't about having all the answers. It's about trusting the one who does. It's about believing that even when you don't understand the path, the one who guides you is good. It's choosing to trust not just when the waters are still, but when they rage. That kind of faith doesn't just get you through the storm. It changes you in the storm. It grows your endurance. It strengthens your spirit. And it brings you closer to the one who never leaves you, never fails you, never forgets you. So when the winds rise and the sky grows dark, don't panic. Don't reach for the things that cannot hold you. Reach for the anchor. Hold tight to the promise that you are not adrift. You are not forgotten. There is a strength beneath the surface holding you firm. That strength is faith, not in yourself, not in the world, but in something unshakable, eternal, and true. There is a weight that many carry, not on their backs, but deep within their hearts. A weight that does not show in their stride, but steals their peace in the quiet moments. That weight is unforgiveness, whether it's anger towards someone who wronged you, bitterness from betrayal, or even shame you've been holding against yourself. Unforgiveness is a silent chain. It keeps your spirit tied to the pain of yesterday and poisons the joy of today. But I want to tell you this, forgiveness isn't weakness, it's freedom. Some think that forgiving someone means you're saying what they did was okay. No, forgiveness is not about excusing the wrong. It's about refusing to let that wrong define you. It's about choosing to release the burden that has already caused you enough damage. You see, holding on to resentment doesn't hurt the person who hurt you. It hurts you. It drains your energy, clouds your mind, and hardens your heart. But when you forgive, you break the grip of the past and allow your heart to breathe again. Forgiveness is not always easy. Some wounds go deep. Some betrayals cut close to the bone. Some offenses came from people you trusted. People who should have protected you, not wounded you. But the deeper the wound, the greater the need to release it. Because when you choose to carry what was meant to be laid down, you keep yourself tethered to a moment that no longer serves your future. Forgiveness doesn't mean you forget, it means you no longer allow that moment to control your identity or your destiny. And let us not forget, sometimes the hardest person to forgive is ourselves. We replay old failures like a broken record. We punish ourselves with guilt, with regret, with what ifs. But self-forgiveness is not selfish. It is necessary. You cannot heal if you are at war with your own soul. You must understand, no matter what you've done, no matter how far you've wandered, you are not beyond grace. The same mercy you're willing to extend to others, you must also receive for yourself. There's something powerful about letting go. It's not just a decision, it's a spiritual breakthrough. When you forgive, you stop allowing the offense to live rent-free in your mind. You stop allowing bitterness to color your perception of every new relationship. You stop reacting from an old wound and start responding from a healed heart. That's the kind of transformation that frees your soul to rise again. That's what forgiveness does. It lifts the weight and clears the path for peace to return. You may say, but they never apologize. And I say to you, forgiveness is not dependent on their repentance. It's about your You forgive not because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace. You forgive so that your heart is no longer chained to what they did. It may not feel fair, but freedom is always worth more than revenge. You are not letting them off the hook. You're putting yourself back on solid ground. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. There will be moments when the pain comes back, when the memory resurfaces. That's normal. Forgiveness is not always a one-time event. Sometimes it's a daily choice, a daily surrender, a decision to lay down the grudge and pick up peace. But each time you do, you weaken the power that pain once held over you. And eventually what once caused you torment becomes a testimony of triumph. Not because it didn't hurt, but because it didn't win. So if your heart has been heavy, if your joy has been stolen, if your spirit has been restless, look within. Is there someone you need to release? Is there a wound you've been nursing for too long? Is there grace you've refused to receive for yourself? Let forgiveness do its work. Let it sweep the bitterness out of your soul. Let it make room for healing. Because when you forgive, chains break, hearts heal, and peace, that deep and lasting peace, begins to flow like a river through every corner of your life. There are seasons in life when the battle feels endless. The nights grow long, the burdens grow heavy, and the silence becomes deafening. You may look around and see no one standing with you, no one calling your name, no one understanding your pain. In those moments, the enemy whispers lies. You are forgotten. You are alone. No one cares. But I'm here to remind you of a greater truth. You are never fighting alone. Even in your lowest valley, even when no one else sees the tears, there is one who walks beside you. You see, we are not promised a life without battles. We are not promised a road without resistance. But we are promised this: we will never be forsaken. The strength that carries you through the storm does not come from the crowd around you. It comes from the presence within you. You may feel weak, but He is strong. You may feel weary, but He is watching. You may feel unseen, but heaven has its eyes fixed on you. Every step you take, every tear you shed, every sigh you release is known by the one who walks with you. There is something sacred about the silent battles. When you're up at midnight, fighting thoughts that won't leave. When you're pushing through responsibilities with a heart weighed down by grief. When you're smiling on the outside, while your soul is barely hanging on. It is in those very places that divine strength shows up, not always in lightning bolts or grand displays, but in quiet assurance, in peace that makes no sense, in courage you didn't know you had. That's the presence of your silent defender.
You may look around and not see people standing beside you, but don't mistake absence for abandonment. People may leave, but your helper never will. Friends may fail, but your defender never does. The same God who stood with David in the shadow of Goliath, who closed the mouths of lions for Daniel, who walked through the fire with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, that same presence walks with you. And if he is for you, who can stand against you? We often think strength means never needing help, but real strength is knowing who to lean on. Real strength is found in surrender, not to defeat but to divine power. You don't have to carry the weight of the world on your shoulder. You don't have to pretend to be okay when you're not. You have access to a strength beyond your own, a power that doesn't run out, a grace that meets you right where you are. It's okay to say, I can't do this alone, because you were never meant to. Sometimes help comes in unexpected ways. A stranger's kind word, a message at just the right time, a song that speaks directly to your soul. That's not coincidence. That's compassion from above. You may not always see the hand guiding you, but the evidence of that hand is everywhere. And when you look back on the hardest days, you'll realize you were being carried far more than you were walking. You didn't make it because of your strength alone. You made it because you were never fighting alone. And don't underestimate the power of spiritual support. There are prayers going up for you that you don't even know about. Saints who have lifted your name in intercession, loved ones who have asked heaven to intervene on your behalf. Sometimes the strength that shows up in your soul is the result of a battle that was fought in prayer. That's the beauty of divine community. We may not always see it, but we are surrounded by a cloud of witnesses, a family of faith that holds us up in the unseen places. So when the road grows dark and the battle feels like it will never end, take heart. You are not alone in the fight. You are not forgotten on the battlefield. There is strength with you, beside you, within you, a hand holding yours, a shield guarding your heart, a light guiding your way. Lift your head, even in the struggle, because though the fight is fierce, the presence is real. And no matter how hard it gets, you are never fighting alone. The road of life is not a sprint. It is a journey marked by valleys and peaks, setbacks and breakthroughs, seasons of silence and seasons of rejoicing. And along that road, many grow weary, many lose heart, many are tempted to give up just short of the finish line. But the promise remains, clear and unshaken. Victory is not given to the swift or the strong. It is given to the one who endures, the one who keeps pressing forward when it would be easier to quit, the one who chooses faith over fear, perseverance over despair. Endurance is not glamorous, it's not loud or showy, it often goes unnoticed by the world, but in heaven's eyes, it is precious, it is powerful, and it is rewarding. The battles you face may be long, and the pain may be real, but there is a crown that waits for those who refuse to bow to discouragement. There is a reward for those who finish their race, not perfectly but faithfully. You may stumble, you may crawl, but if you endure, you will see the promise fulfilled. What does it mean to endure? It means staying in the fight even when your strength feels like it's gone. It means waking up another day and choosing to believe, choosing to try, Endurance is not about never feeling tired. It's about choosing not to surrender to the weariness. It's not about having all the answers. It's about trusting the one who does. Endurance is a spiritual posture. I will not quit, because I know my Redeemer. Many have started strong, but failed to finish. But the real reward belongs to those who hold on until the end, not to the proud, not to the perfect, but to the faithful. God does not measure your life by how fast you run, but by how faithful you are in the race. Some days you will feel like you are flying, other days you will barely move, but if you do not stop, you will win, because endurance is not a feeling, it is a decision, a commitment, a covenant between your soul and your Savior. And don't be fooled by the quietness of your progress. Some of the most powerful breakthroughs are born in seasons when nothing seems to be happening. Roots grow deep in the dark, character is forged in silence, faith is strengthened. When the results are slow, the enemy will try to convince you that waiting means wasting. but that is a lie. Endurance in waiting is still movement in the spirit. It is the soil where miracles begin to take shape. The promise of victory is not just in the next life. It begins now. Victory over fear, victory over addiction, victory over bitterness, shame, hopelessness, and it may not come all at once, but it is coming because he who promised is faithful. He did not bring you this far to abandon you. He did not place a dream in your heart to let it die in the desert. Keep walking, keep believing, keep enduring. Your breakthrough is closer than you think. And when you feel like you can't go another step, that's when grace carries you. That's when the strength, not of this world, begins to rise in you. That's when heaven steps in and lifts your hands, steadies your heart, and whispers, "Keep going, child. I'm with you." The God who began the work in you will not leave it unfinished. He will complete it, not by your might, not by your power, but by His Spirit. All He asks is that you do not give up. So take heart, weary one. Your endurance is not in vain. Your tears have not been wasted. Your fight has not gone unnoticed. Heaven sees you. The promise stands, and the finish line is ahead. There is glory waiting for the one who endures. Not just temporary relief, but eternal reward. And when you stand at the end of the race, you will know every step, every sacrifice, every prayer in the dark. It was all worth it. My friend, you were not born to be defeated. You were not called to live under the weight of fear, regret, or shame. You were created with purpose, shaped by grace, and destined to overcome. The battles you face may be fierce, but they do not define you. The scars you carry may remind you of pain, but they are also proof that you survive. And with every breath, with every step, with every act of faith, you are rising above the lies, the chains, the demons that tried to hold you back. You are not alone in this journey. You are not abandoned in your struggle. There is a power greater than the pain. There is a love deeper than the wound. There is a light brighter than the darkness. And that power, that love, that light, it lives in you. So stand tall, speak truth, choose forgiveness, walk in faith, hold tight to your anchor, endure when it's hard, and never forget the one who began this work in you will see it through to the very end. This is your moment, not to run, but to rise, not to be crushed, but to conquer. The fire you've walked through will not destroy you. It will define you. The enemies you've battled will not bury you. They will bow before the strength that has been forged in the depths of your perseverance. And one day you'll look back, not in bitterness, but in boldness, and say, "I didn't give up. I didn't turn back. I stood my ground, and I overcame." So go now. Not with fear, but with fire in your spirit. Go with resilience in your bones. Go with the unshakable truth that no demon, no darkness, no storm can stand against the heart that's anchored in hope, fueled by faith, and carried by grace. Victory is not just ahead of you. It is already written over your life. You are more than a conqueror. You are free. You are strong. And by the power of enduring faith, you have already